What's up there, my friends? How's it going today? Well, this is kind of a add-on or addendum to my previous videos, but which I haven't even uploaded yet. I just wanted to talk about strength for a minute and how strength can be very beneficial, but can also be a weakness, as an oxymoron, I guess. Strength being weakness in the sense that when we think that we are too strong, we tend to kind of miss the bigger picture. And I'll explain what I mean by that. What does it mean to be a strong person? It's kind of like, what does it mean to, I was going to originally just speak to men, but it's not a man thing. It's a man and woman thing. It's a matter of just being personally strong. But I was going to use men as an example because I am a man, as to how many men perceive strength to being, well, if I get in a fight, I can defend myself, or, I can lift weights, or I'm buff, whatever it might be, these kind of surface, mentalities. And not realizing, of course, that to be truly a strong person in any way, whether it's metaphoric or physical or mental, requires a long game. And the long game is realizing that when you're young, your mentality will be different than when you get into your 30s, and will change again in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and so on. That each decade, each year for that matter, you will have new ideas and new perspectives on life if you're willing to acknowledge them. And the shortcomings come when we believe that we're doing good enough, that we're strong enough, that we're smart enough, that we don't need any of the outside bullshit. We still have to continually process and try to comprehend the world around us so we can build a better picture of it. Not for the sake of knowledge itself, but for the sake of living a better life. And so strength is something that we might think we have when we're young because we lift weights, right? And then you get older and you're not interested in that anymore. And you think, well, where does my strength come from now? Well, maybe you're raising kids and you're like, well, I'm a good parent, therefore I'm a good person, or I'm a strong person. Then your kids grow up and then you think, well, what's next, Maybe living vicariously through what we do or what others do in life, rather than actually building our strength from within. What I mean by this is being able to sit quietly with ourselves and not fret over our shortcomings or confusion or depression or anxiety or insignificance. Whatever image we portray to the world is not who we are. And we know this. But that's my goal, is to portray to you the person I am, for example. To everyone around me the person I am, which isn't always the best approach. I don't play games. I don't bullshit. I don't pretend I'm someone else. I always set my boundaries. I'm always outspoken and straightforward. Sometimes I come across as a dick. But I'm okay with that because that's part of what makes me strong. That's part of what helps me cope, is to not put up with bullshit. Now, I have put up with bullshit in my life, and I still do, but it's ultimately, I think, a balance. It doesn't mean that you just don't tolerate anybody else's views or opinions or anything like that. It means that you stand by what you think, you say, that's fine, you can believe what you believe. You're strong enough within yourself to let other people be who they are, and let other people think what they think, without trying to tell them they're wrong, without trying to prove yourself as better, smarter, or, they're just a dumbass, whatever it might be. And we see this all the time in society. Everybody is virtue signaling. Everybody's got some better way to do things. But the real strength comes from the realization that we have decades, hopefully. I mean, it could end tomorrow. Hey, we don't know. But hopefully we have many decades ahead of us. And so we need to build a strength within us that can endure through those decades. And that requires listening to our elders. That requires looking at traditions and ideas through the lens of, why do these things exist? Why do certain things work? Even to me, growing up, to understand why religion works. As a kid, I couldn't understand why people would believe something like that. But when you've lived enough decades, you start to say, wow, life is confusing, and people want something to hang on to. And you get it. You understand. I'm still not a religious person because I've built my own contentment just knowing that I'm happy to just exist. But for not everyone, that won't work for everyone. Some people really need something to hang on to. So don't chastise others for what they believe, because what you'll find is when you do that, Usually if you're telling others that they're wrong, it is your own insecurity about what you think is right. And that's not always true. I mean, when somebody's doing something wrong that's harming you or others, that's a different story. But when it's just something somebody believes or thinks, it's not worth even trying to change somebody's mind. Let them think what they want if it's not harmful. Because ultimately life is a very confusing mess, and we're all in it to try to figure out how to be the strongest we can and navigate this crazy world. And by the time we figure it out, it's probably over. So just be as strong as you can. Remember that we're all in the same boat, and don't build your view of how other people think on illusions of how you think people think, because we're usually wrong. Peace and love. Talk to y'all next time.